Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Wisdom Wednesday for this week. So remember, with our Wisdom Wednesday, that this is just a generalized energy that is just chosen based on the energies that we are currently working with. And so, of course, this is a discussion. So if there are questions or comments that you have about our current discussion, or a question arises about our current discussion, you're always welcome to ask that question. And if there's any other questions, you can, of course, go to my website and reach out to me that way. So for this week, since we are talking all about trust, we're talking about new beginnings, we're talking about what sparks us, we're talking about giving birth to things, something I wanted to talk about was living in that state of wonder. And I think this is really, really important to begin to look at, because we have the ability to wonder. We have the ability to be in wonder. We have the ability to be in awe. We have the ability to do so many different things with our minds and the power of our minds. But here's the one thing that we usually use the power of wonder for. I wonder what's going to go wrong. I wonder how things are going to go terribly wrong. I wonder how I can make this happen, or I wonder how I can make that happen. Hey, Karen, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. Hey, Ginger, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. And so we usually use the power of wonder in a negative way. We're wondering about the future. We're wondering how to get, something that we want. We're always in that state of wonder. What we want to do is we want to come back to that childlike wonder, that ability to wonder about, how is the universe going to support me today? How am I going to be blessed today? How am I going to be a blessing to someone today? Hey, Christina, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. So just looking at that state of wonder and how different it is vibrationally, how different it is mentally, and how we can start to live there on a daily basis instead of just, kind of that wishful thinking, because that's another thing we need to really steer away from is wishful thinking. That's not what a state of wonder is. A state of wonder is not, I wish this would happen or I wish that would happen. A state of wonder is being open to the experience of blessings, the experience of miracles, the experience of being supported. And really moving into expecting to be supported. Now, here is the difference. Now, there's expectation and expectancy. Expectation is what we want to steer away from, because this is how I want it, this is how it should show up, so forth and so on. Expectancy is, good things are going to happen. I don't know how they're going to happen. I don't know when they're going to happen, but they're happening. Hey, Jenny, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. So that's that big part of this is, how can I start to be there in that state of knowing that the universe is there to support me, and really starting to work with that energy, work with that vibration, work with that mental platitude. So how do we start this? First and foremost, we have to learn and be willing to acknowledge when we are using the power of wonder for our destruction. So how do we know we're using the power of wonder for our destruction? Very simply, by, I wonder how this is going to go wrong, or I wonder how this isn't going to work, or wondering about the negative. You can play what if. It's another great way to see if you're using the power of wonder against yourself. Well, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if? Well, you can still use the power of what if, the power of wonder. Well, what if it does work? What if it does go wonderfully? What if I just love my life? What if that? Hey, Trudy, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. So we move in to that, and it's letting go. I want to talk about the very first thing we can do. Let go of what you think and what you think you know. And that may sound terrifying, or it may sound like an impossibility, but it is not. Because I want you to consider something. I want you to think about it just for a minute. when it comes to, let's say, something that you really, really, really want, and you are just like, yes, this is what I want. I want to go for this. Look at, where does your mind go? Do you start with, well, I know it's not going to work because things just don't work out for me. Or I know that this is going to be really hard work and I just don't think I can put in the time. What are you doing? Look at what you're doing with just that simple, I really, really want this, but you're not in a state of wonder. You're in a state of certainty that you're not going to be able to have it. You're in a state of certainty saying, well, these are all the reasons why it's not going to work. Where is there room for the divine to come in and show you how it could work, how it could be possible? Where is that? There is none. So that's why we have to be willing to forget, or be willing at least to say, I don't know. And not use the past, because we are so very, very good at that. We are great at using the past to bring it into the present moment. And then what do? We just recreate the past. And then we're like, well, why is the past continuing to recreate itself? Well, of course it's recreating itself, because you are projecting the past based on your thoughts, based on, those emotions from the past. You're placing that into the present moment because maybe the situation looks really similar, or maybe even looks identical. And you're like, well, what happened there is just going to happen again. Why are you already in that state of certainty that what was is now going to be what is? Life is unfolding. That's all that's ever happening. And there is no moment that is exactly like any other moment, but we are so preconditioned to say, well, the past it's just going to repeat itself because that's just what happens. Stop. Forgive yourself and be willing just for a moment. That's all it takes, is one moment to say, you know what? We can say, and this is just something that I use, you don't have to use it, or you can use other words that better align with your higher power. But I always like to say, I'm like, Spirit, or for me, I say, Holy Spirit, please take this from me, and please don't let me use it for my destruction, but instead for the coming of my peace. So you can always just say, Spirit, please take this from me and use it for me, or whatever you want to do. Or Spirit, I want to see this situation instead of, I want to see it now instead of the past. I want to see right now. I want to see the truth in this, not my story that I'm placing. So number one for living in a state of wonder is to be willing to be open-minded, to be willing to let go of the past and be present with the moment that is unfolding right in front of you. That's number one. And I think, in my opinion, the most important thing is to be willing to have that. Number two, stepping into this state of wonder. So we already know number one is forget everything you think and think you know. Number two is be like a little child. Now, this does not mean that it does not mean to be childish. Now see, there's a big difference there. When people hear that, sometimes the thoughts that kind of get evoked is, oh, you're telling me to be a child. I'm a grown adult. I don't have time to play. I don't have time for this. I got bills to pay. I got things to do. I don't have time to be childish. We're not asking you to be childish. We're asking you to be childlike. And to be childlike simply means that you are expecting, remember, we're in that divine expectation of just good things happening. And I want you to consider it like this. So when you are young, and the teacher tells you, we're going to go on a field trip, immediately your imagination explodes like, oh my God, I wonder where we're going to go. You're not, I wonder if it's going to be scary. I wonder if it's going to be terrifying. Oh, I wonder where we're going to go. I wonder what we're going to do. And you start to get excited. You're excited about the brand new thing that is unfolding in front of you. You're not worried about what was. You're not even really worried about what's going to be. You are present in the excitement that something new is unfolding before you. And you are like, oh my God, this is great. This is wonderful. You're excited. That's to be childlike, is to be excited about that which is unfolding in front of you. You're not having an expectation about it, saying this is what it should look like, this is what it needs to look like. You're instead saying, I am expecting only good things to come, because children have that innate knowledge, that innate wisdom, if you will, that everything's working out for them. Even if they don't know it, they know it. They still like, yeah, this is exciting. So that's number 2. Number 1 is let go of everything you think and think you know. Number 2 is to live in that state of wonder, is to be childlike, not childish. Oh, that's my toy. This is mine. No, childlike. I am excited to see what is going to unfold before me. I am excited about that. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what great thing Spirit's going to bring me. I wonder how Spirit, this is something that I really like to use in my own spiritual practice, which is simply to say, I wonder how Spirit's going to support me today. I wonder how Spirit's going to bless me today. I wonder how I'm going to be a blessing to someone today. And in that state of wonder, I'm just opening myself to be used, not only to be blessed, but to be a blessing. So there's that sense of excitement, that sense of like, yes. Then we're going to move on to the third aspect of living in that state of wonder, which is trust. So number 1 is what? Letting go of everything we think and think we know. Number 2 is about being childlike and just being excited about what's unfolding, being in that expectancy that it's going to be great for us. And then number 3 is about that trust. Now, what are we trusting in? We are trusting that the divine wants nothing more than for us to be happy. That's all we're trusting in. We're trusting that the divine wants nothing more than for us to be happy. Now, you may say, well, Ron, that sounds like a great line. It sounds really good, but the divine has let me down in the past. And that's where I want to stop you. The divine has not let you down in the past. What most likely happened was you had a plan. You had an agenda. You said, this is what I want. This is how I want it. This is how I want it to be in whatever way, shape, or form, be it a relationship, an amount of money, be it, going on a trip, whatever it is. You had a specific agenda. And because the divine did not support that agenda the way that you saw it, the way that it was supposed to be, you said, well, that's it. The divine doesn't care about me. Obviously doesn't care about my happiness, because everything that I just planned would have made me so unbelievably happy. And now I don't have it. So why do I even bother? And this is where we have to remember that the divine wants nothing more than for us to be happy and free. And so we can come up with all the plans in the universe. We can come up with all of them. And they may be great. They may be wonderful. But here's the thing. They're only leading to the happiness from where the ego can see. And the ego has a very narrow viewpoint. It cannot see everything. It can't see the bigger, broader picture. It only sees its little teeny keyhole. Actually, even that's too big. It's like this little teeny tiny keyhole. That's what the ego looks through. That's how the ego sees. And it says, well, if I have the money, if I have the relationship, if I have the this, if I have the that, then I'll be happy. And the divine is saying, if you want those things, I'm going to give you those things that will bring you happiness. They may not come in the form, the way, or the timing, but they're going to come in a way that's going to bring you true and lasting happiness. Not, okay, I want a Ferrari. I went out and bought a Ferrari. Okay, I'm happy about the Ferrari for about like 15 minutes. Or the opposite happens and you become obsessed with the Ferrari. You become obsessed with it and it becomes, your source of happiness. And, if it gets in a wreck, that's it. Oh, honey, the whole world is ending because now your source of happiness is gone. The universe simply says, God simply says, trust me, I've got you. Trust me, I've got you. And, in A Course in Miracles, it talks about the development of trust. And there are like 6 ways to, hi, Angela, thanks for joining, thanks for being here. there are 6 stages of the development of trust. And the first one is a state of undoing, where it looks like everything is being taken away from you. Hi, been to that one? And yes, it does look like everything is being taken away from you, but it's only those things that no longer hold value. Then you go to number 2, which is like a sorting. Number 3 is a continued sorting. Number 4 is you're kind of getting stable, kind of feeling good. Number 5, we kind of go back down to that sorting again. And then number 6, we have that perfect trust. It doesn't matter where you are in the development of trust, as long as you are willing to develop it. As long as you are willing to be like, once again, I don't know what's valuable. I don't know what's really going to make me happy. I have some ideas, but if we really look at those ideas, let's take money, for example. I want $1 million. That'll make me happy. What you're not really asking for $1 million. What you're really asking for is, I want to feel safe. Because money makes me feel safe. If I have enough money, then I'm going to be able to have what I need and get what I want, get what my kids want or my parents want or whatever. And that's really what you're asking for. You're not asking for the $1 million. Underneath that $1 million ask, what you're really asking for is to feel safe, to feel secure. Because you just don't feel that. And that's okay. But just realize that's really what you're asking for. And once again, you're asking because you don't trust that you're going to be taken care of. You're still believing that your source, your supply is out here, and forgetting that your source and supply is infinite. And it doesn't necessarily, it may look like it comes from out here, but truly it is within you, and then it's just manifest on the outside of you to help you through the dream. So we got to develop that trust. And we start developing that trust very, very slowly, and that's okay. We start with that development of trust simply by asking the question, which is the question that we can ask ourselves is, teach me how to be happy. I don't know how to be happy. Teach me about happiness. Teach me about true happiness. We're asking the source within us. We're not asking someone out here. We're not asking the world. We're asking our own inner teacher that's right in here. And I know I'm pointing to the heart, but really the inner teacher is the loving teacher. And it will teach us, but we have to be willing to listen and trust its guidance. And that's something that I talk about in my 8 weeks of guidance courses, trust and how we develop that and so forth and so on. And so that is our third way. We got to start building that trust, even if it's just a little bit at a time. Rebuilding that trust with the divine, that it wants nothing more. And that's what the first 2 steps help us to do, because we are releasing our story, forgetting everything we think and think we know. Then we're moving into divine expectancy. Okay, divine, I'm expecting good things to happen. I don't know what those good things are, but I'm expecting them. They're coming to me. And then we move in to, once again, now we're in that third phase. You see how 1, 2, and 3, they all go together. They're all leading us to this state of wonder, this state of awe, of just like, oh, wow, amazingness, because we're in that state of trust. Now we're going to go to our 4th way of, our 4th progression, if you will, into that state of wonder. And our 4th way into that state of wonder is to have this beautiful, what I like to call the no mind. Okay? That beautiful no mind. Now, that doesn't mean that you're mindless. It just means you are extremely mindful. Now, not mindful of ideas, mindful of inspiration. No. You're just mindful of what is. There's no story attached to it. You're just mindful, and you are grateful. And this is the big one. And this is where it might get a little, I guess we could say, edgy for people, because what I'm about to say isn't necessarily talked about a whole awful lot, which is, I am so happy and grateful that this thing is occurring, regardless of what it is. Okay? Now, that sounds really crazy. Like, oh my gosh, what, I'm supposed to be happy and grateful that this person, got hurt, or I'm supposed to be happy and grateful that this person broke up with me, or I'm supposed to be happy and grateful that this this random expense came up. And the answer to that is yes. But it's not, I'm so happy and grateful that all of these, terrible things are happening. It's, I'm happy and grateful that this occurred because it's showing me what's blocking me from being happy, from being in that state of wonder. I'm happy and grateful to see the rocks that I'm still carrying around, because that's what all of those instances do. They show us the things that we're still carrying around. So we start with that happiness. We start with that gratitude. And if you can't get there, that's okay. You can at least just be in that state of wow. Okay. And I know that sounds weird, but again, wow. Look at how the universe is doing everything in its power to make sure that I let go of what no longer serves me, of what is not serving a purpose in my life. Wow. And do you see the difference from wow instead of here's another lesson, oh joy? Like that's not a state of wonder. Wow. I am in awe. I am in wonder at how the universe is constantly working for my benefit, and how these situations are rising up to show me the rocks that I'm still carrying around. Wow, I'm so happy and grateful. And you can see like the genuine smile that I have in saying that, because I want to be the happy learner. That's our number 5, is to be the happy learner. And the happy learner is not the indignant learner. And the indignant learner is, oh, I have all these lessons to learn and I'm never going to learn them all. And oh, life's so hard. Life's so terrible. And this is not to denote or to dismay or to, cancel what anyone is going through, because we're not here to, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not here to say, oh, people aren't suffering. We see the suffering. Like, we're very well aware of the suffering. But instead of going into that suffering about, oh, here's another lesson and life is suffering. Yeah, life is suffering. And you want to know why life is all about suffering instead of about wonder? It's because we put ourselves through it with the stories that we tell ourselves. We don't wonder. We just put ourselves back in the same old trap that we've been in. And we just have to be willing to acknowledge it. Yeah, this is a story I'm telling myself and I don't really like it. And that's actually something, again, that I am currently writing about in my AIS course, which is Awakening the Inner Self. And what we talk about throughout that course is, how do we awaken that witness within us? How do we get back into that real state of wonder and awe? And really, if we just follow the first 3 steps, we're already halfway there. The last 2 steps are there to kind of propel us in to that state of wonder on a continuous basis, because then no matter what is happening, okay, I can see this, and it's not that I have to learn lessons. And I want to make that so clear. In the way that I see it, and it doesn't mean that my way is the right way, but the way that I see it, the universe is not here to test you and say, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? The universe, the divine, God already knows you're ready and worthy of all things that they have it's given to you. It knows that because it's the one that created you. So it already knows you're ready and worthy. It already knows that. It doesn't test you. What it will do is it will show you the barriers that you currently have to whatever it is you may be asking for, or the barriers that you have to love. Because that's something else the Course in Miracles talks about is, the Course is not there to show you the meaning of love, because that is not something that can be defined. But it is there to show you the barriers that you have to love, the rocks that are really weighing you down in the world. What would it be like if you lived in a state of wonder? What would it be like if you were more childlike? What would it be like if you expected the universe to support you? What would your life be like? How would your life be different? How much happier would you be? And I can almost say with pure honesty, it would be so much better, so much happier, so much more joyful. Instead of, I have to slog through the lessons that the universe is presenting to me. The universe is not presenting you with lessons. The universe is providing you with opportunities to let go of what you think and what you think you know, so that you may move into ecstatic joy, bliss, and happiness beyond anything you have ever felt. Think again about when you had those, just any moment. It doesn't have to be when you were a child, doesn't have to be when you were an adolescent. It could be 2 weeks ago. But just consider when you felt that freedom. Because that's what wonder gives us. Wonder gives us this beautiful sense of freedom. Freedom from the stories that we tell ourselves, and wondering and looking forward into the present moment of what's going to be there for us. That's where we want to go. That's where we want to be. That's where we want our focus to be on. Not the future, not the past, the right here, right now. I wonder, you didn't hear me say, I wonder how the universe is going to support me a month from now. I wonder how the universe is going to support me today. I wonder how the universe is going to support me in this moment. And wondering about that. And then expecting that to come, because that's the one key that we tend to forget. We're like, oh yeah, I wonder how the universe is going to support me. Great, wonderful, right? Well, then we got to move into that trust. And then we got to move into that no mind to be like, okay, I am open to receiving how the universe is going to support me without my story. Without my story. How is the universe going to support me? How am I going to be amazed? Because, you'll see that my website is called Awakening Miracles. Well, what is a miracle? A miracle is nothing more than a shift from what? From fear to love. And it's not that the divine comes down and says, okay, well, because you're willing to shift from fear to love, here's your gift. It says, oh, I'm so glad you are willing to let go of that illusion and step into the truth. So that is our very brief talk on going into that state of wonder, that state of awe, that state of happiness and joy and exhalation. So before I get off, if there are questions about our topic, you're more than welcome to put them into the comments. And if I can answer them now, I will. And if I can't, then of course I will get back to you as soon as I can, as soon as I get that answer. But that's what I want to open this time for specifically, is questions or comments, concerns about what we just talked about. Because it's great that I can talk about these things. It's wonderful I can talk about these things. But if I don't necessarily answer your question, then all I've said is a lot of pretty words. And they may be pretty, they may be great. But if you need clarification, ask for the clarification. Don't just sit there and be like, well, I guess I'll have to figure it out. You don't have to figure it out all on your own. If I can give you a little glimpse of wisdom or a little glimpse of guidance, then I'll be more than willing to do that if we're talking about this topic. So I want to just kind of open that up. And as I am waiting for you guys to type in your questions, if there are any, if there aren't, you can just put a little heart, put a little thumbs up. That way, I know that there aren't any questions. And while I wait for those to come in, I want to go over here to the Fabulous and Wonderful Course in Miracles. And I want to do a flip open, which is just where we allow Spirit. I wonder what kind of wonderful guidance Spirit has for us today from the Course. So I'm going to do that flip open as I just kind of wait to see if there are any questions or comments about our topic. Oh, wow, this is beautiful. So this comes from Chapter 13, The Guiltless World, and it comes from Section 10, The Release from Guilt. You are accustomed to the notion that the mind can see the source of pain where it is not. The doubtful service of such displacement is to hide the real source of guilt and keep you from the awareness of the full perception of its insanity. The past is not in you. Your weird association to it has no meaning in the present, yet you let them stand between you and your brothers, with whom you find no real relationship at all. Can you expect to use your brother as a means to solve the past and still to see them as they really are? So again, right there, it's telling us we have a weird association with the past. It's not in you. The past is not in you. The past has already happened. It's not in you. We have to release it. We have to let it go. And that's what that state of wonder helps us to do. It helps us to release that story and step into, instead, a state of openness and acceptance to the miracle, to the presence of the alternative. Whatever that may be, we don't know. And that's okay not to know. But we're open to it and open to receiving that guidance. So I thank you again so much for joining me. I thank you so much for being here. And if you're interested in finding out more about me or my services, you can go visit my website, awakeningmiracles.org. If you're interested in that AIS course, it is not up yet. I am still in the process of getting the materials prepared for that course. But you can, of course, go look at the other courses that are available, either the online ones or the live ones. And if you're interested in more content like this, you can, of course, go visit my you can go visit my YouTube channel, which is also pinned in the comments, or pinned in the top thingamabobber.